Hey, everybody. As I promised, we have our guest on today. His name is Tom Paladino. And we're going to be talking about something pretty amazing. If you believe that everything is energy like I do, you understand that we're all connected in some way, shape, or form, even to the universe around us. And yes, this is a very new concept to me that I haven't quite grasped yet, but yet I am trying it out myself. And I think that this is going to be a really fun interview. We're talking about scalar light, and it's a form of physics, and I think it even can possibly be quantum physics, maybe not. He'll let me know in a second, but we're going to be talking about all of this and how it can improve your life, your health, and everything else around you. Welcome to the show, Tom. How you doing today?
I am well. Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on here and talking with us a little bit. So I see behind you a lot of really fancy looking equipment and lights and stuff like that. Tell us about Scalar Energy and where you're at right now.
Yeah, where am I at? I am a researcher. I work with this branch of physics, scalar physics. It's not electricity. And what I'm trying to do is to introduce this new and emerging branch of physics, scalar light, scalar energy. It's the energy of the cosmos. It's the animating force of the sun and the stars. There was a great inventor by the name of Nikola Tesla who experimented with this energy. It's very much real. And today I'm trying to, if you will, forward that research of Tesla and other theorists to make this apparent that this indeed is a primal force, scalar energy. And with that, we can achieve incredible feats, incredible functions with this energy.
Well, it seems like it's really interesting to get into. And Tesla was an amazing mind. And I don't know why people didn't really embrace his studies and everything else a little bit more. Because I think if we did, I think it would be far more advanced as a society right now than I think if they since they haven't. Um, how did you get involved? How did you first of all find out about this, and what made you decide this is something you wanted to pursue to test out more?
It was Tesla. Tesla, at a young age, I was reading about Nikola Tesla. And to be clear, Tesla was working with scalar energy instruments similar to what I have. And the key to Tesla's work later in his life, he wanted to work with free energy, what he called radiant energy or the energy of the sun and the stars. So it was Tesla who gave me this impetus to get into this type of research. And I'm glad I did. I see tremendous promise with this energy. Scalar energy will solve our energy problems. We're going to change the world with this energy.
I think so too. And I do believe that there is natural energy out there that we can tap into. I just don't think we're doing it correctly. I
You're
don't
right.
think we don't have the strength enough with wind power and water power and all these other ways of making it sustainable over
Yes.
time. But you are right with this. The sun is incredibly powerful, and so
Yep.
is the energy around us. And I don't think we grasp all of that. So give us a little bit of detail about what scalar energy is. How does it work? And how does it kind of infuse itself to help us not only with our energy, but also with our health and mind and wellness?
Thank you. So you're right. The existing paradigm is not sustainable. Coal, oil, even wind farms, it's so expensive. There's a new way, scalar energy. It's the free energy of the sun and the stars. This is a free energy instrument behind me. That is, I can control that energy from the sun and the stars. Why is that important? Well, because the energy of the sun and the stars is unlimited. It's free energy. It's clean. There's no pollution. There's no chemical process. There's no, if you will, chemical formula that we have to, if you will, ascribe to my work. It's non physical, it's non chemical. And with that, as Tesla described, the ether is the medium for this energy. In other words, you don't need satellites. There's a pre existing infrastructure, ether, that will propagate, that will allow this energy to, if you will, be realized or to propagate throughout the universe. So it's free energy with a free infrastructure without a carbon footprint, and it's not dangerous. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can't get anything better than that. Now, when you get this energy, how do you harvest it? How do you maintain it? And how can do you even have to amplify it?
Yeah, that's a good point. I do have to amplify. Behind me is a scalar energy instrument. I'll demonstrate it's functioning right now. It's on. There's a vacuum tube that creates the scalar wave. I'm pointing to that vacuum tube and a capacitor. And then, if you will, these Tesla coils will manifest, will amplify the energy. It's so strong it can illuminate a light bulb in my hand. So that's, if you will, the direction we're taking energy that's non-wired, wireless energy, energy that fills an environment. This energy fills my laboratory. And with that, once I access that energy, I don't need satellites. I don't need any type of infrastructure to broadcast, to interface with this energy through society. This energy does not work on an interface. It is an inbuilt etheric system.
Now, I know that, when you talk about energy, the first thing people think about the coal buildings, the nuclear reactors, all this
Yeah,
other kind of stuff to make it work. I see that you're able to light a light bulb right off of that, not even touching it, just getting it
right,
close to that.
correct.
So, kind of give us an idea of what the size of this particular plant would need to be as opposed to like a nuclear plant or a coal
Yeah,
plant or anything like that. And how much energy can we generate in just that little setup right there?
yeah, that's a good point. That's a great question. So today I'm at, let's call this 1x, in which I can illuminate a light bulb. Well, I'm working on a technique to be able to light up 100,000, a million light bulbs. So the gain should be eventually a million to one. So what's the point here? With a little bit of energy to start with, you can multiply, you can see a gain of a millionfold, maybe eventually a billionfold. Now, why would I make such a statement? Because there's no degradation. Entropy does not come into play here. Once you have a scalar wave, you can amplify it and there's no loss of signal. So with that said, we can amplify theoretically to infinity with this type of energy. It just keeps building upon itself without any weakening. Now, that's where I want to go over the next 3 to 4 years, to develop a system that I can send energy anywhere in the world, amplified from this instrument a millionfold. Now, if I can demonstrate that, a gain of a millionfold for the amount of energy going into this unit and having a gain of a millionfold to the magnitude of a million, maybe a billion, that will solve our energy problem. Imagine multiplying energy a millionfold.
Wow, that is big. And
Yeah.
I mean, so that means we would actually need to have less plants all across the United States, and maybe one plant in California could take up, if not most of the United States,
Yes,
theoretically.
exactly, exactly. Tesla built a tower in Long Island. He called it Wardenclyffe. It was a scalar energy tower, and he was able to broadcast non-physical energy, wireless energy, anywhere he wanted. A prodigious magnitude, if you will. And that's where I want to go. I want to recreate Tesla's Wardenclyffe tower and send out energy anywhere in the world without wires. Free, clean, safe energy.
Interesting. Now, I know I'm going to show you my phone because this is something everybody loves.
Yeah.
I don't think we can live without that. With an energy like this, would it impact the Wi-Fi that we have, or would it work in conjunction with that?
Yeah. Scalar energy is a spectrum unto itself. So we're going to have to create instruments that will run on scalar energy, not electricity. So this instrument behind me does not power electrical instruments. It's not electrical in character. So eventually we're going to have to, if you will, make that transition from electrical instruments to scalar instruments. And actually, I think that will be welcome because it's going to be so much easier, and it will save you money in the long run. You won't have to power any device. It will be free energy from the stars.
That's so cool. Okay, so my next question is, and I think this is what everybody's going to ask right now. We've all heard that having exposure to the 5G and all of these other Wi-Fi things, it causes cancer, it can cause
Yes.
health issues. And I've seen it because I mean, I really have seen since the introduction of Wi-Fi how far our health has kind of decreased along the way. So how is this different
Right.
Obviously it's coming from the stars, but I mean, overexposure to something, people, that's going to be the natural reaction. How is this going to
Yes.
impact our health?
That's a great question. It's not 5G. It's not electricity. That's the entire point. My contention is electromagnetic energy, especially when it's high voltage, can harm the human body. Now, keep in mind this energy is non physical, it's intelligence. So there's no electrons involved. This is not electricity. It's the energy, once again, of the sun and the stars. And this is my laboratory. And this is my proof. Since the beginning of time, we've had the sun and the stars, and nobody's ever had an allergic reaction to the stars. The star energy does not produce a biochemical event. Now, this is very important. I'm going to revisit that comment. This scalar energy instrument cannot produce a biochemical reaction. There is no biochemical event because it's non physical. I don't work at the biochemical level, I work at the informational level. So the reason that 5G is causing problems is because 5G accesses the physical body. I don't. I work with non-physical information that cannot access, that cannot interface with any biochemical reaction. All of my work is non-physical, non-chemical.
Okay. Yeah, see, I think that's what somebody would have to know because obviously there's going to be people out there that are going to be scared of stuff like this, especially
Right.
new stuff. And, it's good to just kind of address stuff like that so it calms their nerves down. I've always been for something that can have more power, more energy with less, side effects, I guess you could say, that could hurt people, hurt other things along the way. And I love the idea that it is clean. Um, how can we use this? I mean, is this something that could possibly be used as like an alternative form to like a CAT scan or a MRI or an X-ray or anything like that? Because I know that is horrible for our bodies.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I envision, to replace harmful x-rays, to replace MRIs. The electromagnetic spectrum is fraught with problems. It produces chemical changes. Okay, I understand that. That's been well established. This is why people don't want to live underneath high tension wires because it's too much energy. Scalar energy, the sun and the stars produce scalar energy. There's no adverse side effect. If there was, we would be dead. There's trillions upon trillions of stars. Have we ever experienced any type of cancer from a star? No. Any type of dizziness, pimples, allergies? No. So this is the way to go. And again, we're working with information. I'm not working at the chemical level. That's the entire difference, people. We're no longer working with the physical realm. We're working with intelligence or consciousness. This is divine intelligence. And there's no mistakes here.
Very, very interesting. Um, Now what can this energy penetrate like concrete blocks?
Mm.
Can it penetrate
Yeah.
bone? Can it do stuff like that? I mean,
Yes.
I know we're immersed in it. We're just not necessarily obtaining it.
Yeah.
How does it flow?
Yeah. It's everywhere. It's nothing can impede its progress. Here's an experiment. This is a chopping board, a wooden chopping board. If I place that close to the instrument,
How cool is
the,
that?
the light will still illuminate. So the board doesn't prevent it. So in other words, this energy from the sun and the stars, nothing can impede it. Nothing. Nothing can stop it. This energy will manifest itself throughout the universe. This is the game changer we want. Imagine a free energy from the sun and the stars. You don't have to worry about an infrastructure. You don't need wires or substations. Okay, it's clean. There's no chemicals. It's safe. Okay, you'll never have any medical condition, any biochemical reaction from this, and it just goes on and on. This is the energy we want. This will solve the energy problem.
I know this is going to sound stupid, but it's just something in my mind. If you were to touch that, would it electrocute you or would it be
No,
like nothing?
no, 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 no,
Wow.
because it's not electrical. I've never experienced an electrical shock from that. No.
That is awesome. I mean, I think I was just because I was looking at it, I was wondering, can you get
Yeah.
electrocuted or that is so freaking crazy. I love this stuff. This is really
Yeah.
exciting.
and, and you could see from this working model that it is tenable, that this is a reality. I've established a working model, and therefrom we have to now explore other ways to take this body of knowledge and expand upon it and introduce this to the world. So this is the beginning paradigm. This is, if you will, the initial instrumentation.
Now, I know, just by the way that the Earth moves and stuff like that, obviously we don't see the sun for it's up for about 12 hours and then 12 hours it's not. Does the intensity of that drop down when the sun's not above us? So like maybe at nighttime it would be stronger on the other side of the Earth than on this side of the Earth or anything like that? Does that have any impact on it at all?
That has no impact whatsoever. Now,
Wow.
keep in mind the stars are everywhere. The stars are in every location of the world. So if my fist represents our globe, there's stars, there's constellations everywhere in the universe. So we're flooded with scalar energy. I don't care if you're on the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, the western hemisphere, the eastern hemisphere. The key is this, that scalar energy floods the universe. We'll never run out of it. We're in a sea of scalar energy. I know that's difficult for some people to fathom, but this is not a finite construct. There's no finite parameter. So we now have infinite supply of energy, so there's no scarcity. If you don't have scarcity, you no longer have an energy crisis.
So, so cool. So let's talk about maybe like bringing this forward. Have you even contacted any local government, federal government,
Yeah,
country, or anything like that to try to
yeah,
convince them that this might be something worth investing in and helping you grow
yeah.
this out? Or are you just afraid that they might try to squash that?
Yeah, I'm looking at the political environment today, and I'm saying so many governments are corrupt. So I prefer just to work with people. We'll keep this as a grassroots movement. We won't have any government intrigue, and with that, we'll make great advances. My predecessors tried to work with government and big business, and those scalar energy researchers paid the price for trusting government and big business. I'm not going to make that same mistake.
Good.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I know people want this stuff. I know the government says that they're on our best sides, but I don't truly believe that they
yeah,
are. And honestly, with this, it will put a lot of major companies out of business or severely hurt their profits. So that's why I was a little bit more scared for you or anybody else that's doing it because they will shut people like that up or try to shut them down.
yeah. I realize that God protects me, and you're astute in that observation. Where this is going is just incredible. This is a new way of living. Scalar energy will change the social order.
Okay. So until then, how if this starts to grow and you can start to really produce this stuff on a scale, how do we keep it under the radar but yet not under the radar?
It's not under the radar. I'm sure the powers that be know what I'm doing. This is what I propose in the very near future. I want to work. Energy generation is on my hit list, but I am not there yet. God hasn't given me the wisdom. So presently, I can improve quantum health through a photograph, and I'll explain this to your audience. This instrument works with photographs. I never work with people. Remember, I don't work with chemicals. I don't work with a biochemical person. I work with a force field on a photograph. People will email me photographs, and I can access the energy field of a person on their photograph. Now, what do I mean by that? My photograph carries my energy field. I don't have to be present. I simply have to email my photograph, or anybody can email their photograph, and I can access a person's aura or their energy field. Remember, I work at the informational level, at the level of energy. I don't work at the biochemical level. So with this instrument, I can improve what I call quantum health through the photographic force field. Now, as an analogy, we're having a conversation through our computer. I can see you and I can access you by way of this computer, but you're not in the computer, it's your image. Well, if I can have a communication with Emma through this computer, then I can have a communication with people through their force field, through their energy field. So scalar health is not through a person at the biochemical level. Scalar health is at the informational level through a photograph because the photograph represents the person.
I was reading on your website, and this is really kind of interesting. It's part of your program thing here. It's the mineral and precious stone. This one really caught my eye because these are physical things, obviously, that
Yeah.
we see. We wear them on our rings. All these other types of stuff, and so they're physical. How does this actually generate or make that stronger?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I take actually photographs of precious stones, and then I impart the energy of a precious stone to a person. So let's say I had a photograph of quartz, and I would place that photograph of quartz next to my photograph. The energy of quartz enters into me, not the chemical, the energy. So working with this new level of scalar energy, it's all non-physical, we leave the physical dimension behind. We don't want to work the physical dimension. We want to work with the template. We want to work with the etheric form, the pattern body, which is above the physical. Now, why is that important? Because the template ultimately describes and will dictate the physical dimension. I much rather work with the informational field than the biochemical field.
So if somebody was to go ahead and do any of your programs, you got a lot of them, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about them. Uh, how long will it generally take before they start to feel something? And when it's done, or somebody does it, do they feel anything along the way, or is it kind of like subliminal, like they're getting the help, but they don't necessarily know it's changing?
I would say within the first week or two, people feel better. And I'll tell you why. Imagine this amount of energy, once again, going into a person's chakras or their brain waves. Well, the amount of energy going into that photograph is the identical energy going into my aura or my force field. So to answer your question, within a week, sometimes prior to a week, people feel a balancing of their chakras, or their brain waves are balanced, or they're happier, or their sinuses start to clear, or many people say they have a deep dream state, or they start experiencing a reduction in pain and discomfort. Why? Information imparted through your force field, it's always information, will correct the disease signature. Now, to be clear with your audience, there are disease signatures on that photograph. Everybody has disease. My contention is scalar energy will detect, identify disease, and negate the disease signature, not the disease at the chemical level. Negate the disease signature, the intelligence of disease. And within a week or two, people are starting to feel better. Why? Scalar energy at the informational level has negated, has eradicated the signature of disease.
Wow, that is so cool. So I would love to hear, you don't have to give names or anything like that, but can you give me an example of somebody that was pretty extreme that came to you, and what their symptoms were, and how did it change their lives?
Yeah. We've worked with about approximately 5,000 people in India at a clinic, an HIV clinic called Om Prakash, an HIV clinic. And after working with people through their photograph, many of these people say that they feel better because we could identify the HIV virus as a signature and eradicate it on the photograph. Now, you can't explain this by medical science. This is not medical science. This is not Newtonian science. This is a new science that needs a new understanding. So to be clear, I can identify the HIV virus as a signature and eradicate it. After I've worked with people from this clinic in Delhi, India, they send me PCR tests, follow-up PCR tests. And many
Wow.
of those people tell me that they no longer have a viral load for HIV. Now, what I've just described can only be described and understood in the context of information, scalar energy. Obviously, you never send your photograph to a clinic. You do send your photograph to Tom Paladino. Why? Because my work is unique. I don't work with people. I don't work at the biochemical level. I work with the energy field of photographs, and the only way you can do that is with a scalar energy instrument. So the only way I can describe my work is through scalar physics, and the only explanation for my work is by way of scalar dynamics, by way of scalar physics.
Wow. Okay, so my next question is kind of similar to this is, you know, I've been reading and seeing a lot of stuff online and some of the new studies coming out that they're wanting to have like a bioengineered food. And honestly, this is going to be containing a lot of chemicals, a lot of plastics, a lot of other things along the way, just to basically fill us up, but it really has no nutritional value.
Right.
So as we're taking this in and that's working, are we like using this to contradict the stuff that we're literally hurting ourselves with, causing these things? So, I mean, is it like wiping each other out? Is it just keeping us more normal? I mean, how do we fix
Right.
that?
That's a good point. I'm an advocate of natural foods, of wholesome food. And I've heard that, and we realize much of the food today is processed. There's chemicals that we're not going back to nature. Our soil has been denuded of minerals. Our bodies accordingly lack the proper nutrients. So we have to eat food that is dense in nutrients. I think everybody realizes that. Now, that's one of the reasons why I've come out with these programs. Okay, this program, for instance, if I were to take a photograph of glutathione and place this photograph of glutathione next to my photograph, the result is I receive the energy of glutathione. So this is the new way of nutrition, not at a chemical level, at an energetic level. I would much rather receive my nutrients by way of energy and be assured that I have the proper energetic code, the proper energetic signature of nutrients, rather than having to work through processed foods and if you will, a hit and miss scenario. So I think the future will be in wholesome food. Nothing replaces food, but to supplement our food through energetic supplements by scalar energy.
Okay, because that was my next question I was going to come up with. It's that most of the time we're hungry because we don't have the energy to keep going, and therefore we need those nutrients that are imbalanced in ourselves through the food. And so, would that eventually replace food? But I guess you just answered that question. No, it will
Yeah,
not. It will just
no,
help enhance what you've already taken in.
that's correct. And many times when I'm working with people and I'm treating their aura, I'm treating their energy field with the energy of nutrients, their hunger decreases because they're finally receiving the proper energetic signature of nutrients, or people lose weight. So this energy that does not work on the chemical level works on the informational level, probably changing our eating habits for the better.
You know, that is the another one of the programs that I was looking at was weight loss. I mean, obviously we're trained to think it takes exercise, good eating, you know, stuff like that, good sleeping habits because stress can cause an influx of cortisol, which makes us fatter. So, how does that work for weight loss?
Yeah, good point. So when I'm working with people, for instance, this is one of the techniques, leptin. It's a hormone that serves to, if you will, diminish our desire for food. If I place inside the instrument this energy field of leptin that would be downloaded into my energy field, this will suppress the appetite. So I'm not changing the biochemical body. I don't interface with the biochemical body. To the contrary, what I'm doing serves to change the intelligence. It changes the informational field. That's the key. Never working at the physical dimension, always working at the level of intelligence. And I'm telling the body through intelligence that with this hormone, you're no longer hungry.
Okay. Now, let's take somebody like me. I have an incurable disease. It's multiple sclerosis. There's other people that I know that have Parkinson's and Lou Gehrig's disease and stuff like that. How can something like this help that?
Yeah, I'm working right now. I have a new program called Divine Intelligence. And I received a word of knowledge from our Lord Jesus, in which, as long as I can work with people for a prolonged period of time, I should be able to make good success with Parkinson's, with Lou Gehrig's, with the dementia. Why? Because I'm sending the proper information into the pattern body. And what's the driving force of any disease? A signature intelligence. Before you have a physical manifestation, you have intelligence, you have information that causes that disease. I don't work at the level of symptoms, the biochemical level. I work at the level of intelligence, the cause. So I believe that over a long period of time, let's say for a prolonged period of time, if I were to work with somebody for a year or two with Parkinson's, that I should be able to change the disease signature of Parkinson.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Because I know when people are sick and stuff like that, it's annoying. It's frustrating. It gets to an annoying level where they want immediate results. They want to see changes. And honestly, even with modern medicine today, we just don't have that all the time. It's kind of like a simple patch. So, what advice would you give to somebody going through something like that, that it's going to be okay, and give it a certain amount of time?
Yeah. You'll be able to judge how you feel. For instance, there was a time that I had back pain. And under this new program that I call Divine Intelligence, I no longer have back pain. And actually, I think it has straightened out my back. My spine was misaligned. Now, how do you do that through a photograph? Well, to be blunt, my poor posture, or I would say my spinal, if you will, misalignment has been corrected by information. And I attribute that actually when I was younger to sports injuries. But right now I have near perfect posture. How does that happen through a photograph? Because I corrected the disease at the informational level. Now, what happens at a biochemical level, I cannot tell you. I can guarantee that through my instrument, I can change disease signals at the informational level through intelligence. What the ultimate result is at the biochemical level, I have to rely upon people's testimony.
So let me kind of give you this scenario, because it sounds like it may be kind of complementary to it. My grandmother refused to grow old. She did not want to grow old. She thought 60 was over the hill. She's done, didn't want to even hit 60. And ironically, she said that all the time. And so by the time she hit about 59 and a half, she managed to get an aneurysm, which killed her. She got her wish. But I believe that that's energy. I believe that we're literally sitting there telling the world and telling the energy around us that we don't want this at this particular point. So therefore, it did and was able to take effect of that. Is that part of that energy, that information that you're talking about?
Yes, that's correct. For some reason, let's say later in life, people have this disease signature that leads to long-standing illness. Well, it had to begin somewhere in the past, obviously, as a signature, as intelligence. Let me offer this analogy. When you have blueprints to build a home, that's the template. The blueprints aren't the home. It's not the physical product. So I start with the level of blueprints, the template. The physical body is the final structure, the building. I would much rather work with the blueprints, the template, than the physical body, the building, the office building, the house. Now, with all of that, in pursuant to your question, I don't care what it is, if it's a long-standing illness or it's an illness that's just manifested, it always begins at the template level, at the level of intelligence. So why not correct that intelligence?
True. Now, I know this is going to sound a little bit like kind of redundant, but not at the same time, because it's a little bit different if we look at it. Mental illness. Mental illness is something that it's a disease too that affects our brain, our thinking in some way, shape, or form. But a lot of the times they're not receptive to things because they don't, the way that their mind works. Will this have any? Will that impede a treatment from scalar light?
No, nothing can impede this. Remember, this energy floods the universe. It's primal. This is fundamental. This energy is everywhere. It is ubiquitous. It's the eye of God, so to speak. Scalar energy is the all-seeing eye of God. No chemical reaction can stop it. A wooden board cannot stop it. I showed you that. I demonstrated that. Nothing can impede this energy. Now, keep in mind, it's primal. It's fundamental. When something is fundamental, it follows the laws of science. The human mind does not necessarily follow the laws of science. The human mind, we experience the vagaries of being human. But what's my point? Scalar energy always achieves its objective. Scalar energy, light energy, is fundamental. Light energy follows the laws of science. The laws of science never make a mistake. The laws of science are immutable. You can't change the laws of science. You can change your mind, but you can't change the laws of science.
Perfect. That's what I needed to hear, and I think everybody else did too. Now, I know that you've been working on a picture for me, and you offered me, I think it was 15 days of a program where they would try it out and show it. What does that entitle? What are you doing during that time?
Yeah. So for 15 days, when a person sends us their photograph, we're going to balance their chakras. We're going to balance the 7 chakras. So I'm holding up an image of the chakras. What are the chakras? They're spinning vortices of scalar energy. They're spinning vortices. What is scalar energy? It's a double helix. So when somebody sends me their their photographs, I access their chakras through this instrument. And the double helix, that's a scalar wave by animation, will reprogram their 7 chakras, will reprogram their mind, their psyche through non-physical intelligence. I do that for 1 hour a day. Then the second hour of the day, I take a person's photograph and if you will, I match it up or I download the energy of microbes. This is a photograph of Streptococcus mutans. It has an energy field. If I place this photograph of Strep mutants side by side my photograph in a scalar energy force field, the energy field of Strep mutants will be identified and negated in me. So I don't attack bacteria at a biochemical level. I find the signature, I find the force field of bacteria, and I negate the signature, I negate the disease signature of Streptococcus mutans, always at the informational level. So why do I do that? Because working with information, energy, which is fundamental, that cannot make a mistake, every time I want to eradicate, nullify Streptococcus mutants, it always works. I am working at the energetic level, not at the biochemical level. When you work at the energetic level and you follow the laws of science, I can guarantee that the laws of science will always negate Streptococcus mutants.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the second hour, hour number 2. And then for the remainder of the day, I'm downloading nutrients. If I take a photograph, say a pantothenic acid B5, and I match it up with my photograph, I'm going to receive the energy of a vitamin, not the chemical. I'm going to receive the energy of a vitamin. It's my contention that nutrition starts always at an informational level, not a biological level. The first principle for nutrition is energy, light energy. How the body incorporates pantothenic acid, I don't know. But I can assure that I can deliver the energy of a vitamin.
So it's a 3 hour a day process. Is that pretty
It's
much how it
yeah,
works?
yeah. It's actually 24 hours. So for the
Oh, wow.
remainder of the day, I work with nutrients. Why? Because people need nutrients 24 hours a day.
Sure.
So I'm going to surmise once again in summation. 1 hour a day, I work with chakras. 1 hour a day, I identify microbes and I bring the microbe to a state of chaos. And then the remaining 22 hours a day, I download, if you will, I impart the intelligence of nutrients. So it's a 24-hour clock. And in so doing, you're receiving a great deal of energy, corrective energy, 24 hours a day.
Now, I know that you're obviously not holding these pictures up there. It works as a computer. So how does the computer work to like
Yeah.
blend those pictures together?
Okay. That's my photograph. It's
Okay.
inside it's inside the force field. This is a photograph of B5,
Mhm.
pantothenic acid. Now, what's the point? Both force fields are being animated. If I can animate a light bulb, I can animate my photograph and I can animate the vitamin. And I simply walk away. That's right. I simply let the instrument function throughout the day. And there's an interfacing of those two force fields, those two, if you will, information fields, my information and pantothenic acid. They communicate 24 hours a day. The instruments are on 24 hours a day. So it's an informational process. There's no human reasoning. And on account of the fact there's no human reasoning, we don't have to worry about human error. It's energy driven. There's no mistakes.
Interesting.
Now, I'm going to
So,
go. I'm going to go back to what you mentioned about minerals and precious stones. This is one of the minerals that I impart. If I wanted the energy of ruby, I would place my photograph inside the force field of ruby. In other words, these two photographs have energy fields and they communicate. I download the energy of ruby into my force field, into my photograph. Now, why do I keep saying a photograph, a photograph? My photograph is me at the energetic level, not at the biochemical level. This obviously is a piece of paper. My photograph nonetheless carries my energy field of my soul, mind, and body. I much rather work at the energy field than the biochemical field. So I can access my soul, mind, and body through the energy field on the photograph.
that kind of makes a lot of sense because I collect old photographs and stuff from the 1800s, and I look at photographs. I used to be a photographer for the longest time, and I can tell you that by looking at them, you could almost read their mind, maybe at the time, maybe as they were, but you can get that energy about them, and sometimes they give you the creeps because it's like you knew that they were bad people or you knew that they were good people, and so just by looking at them, you can almost kind of judge how they would be. So that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. So it's so exciting. It's so intriguing where we're going with this energy that it opens to us a new vista. This is a new branch of physics. This is consciousness, what some people might call the mind of God, divine intelligence, in which we leave behind the brick and mortar and we're working at the informational level. Now, to give the audience a for instance, many of the functions that we perform today are through information systems. Let's face it, a computer can do the work of 1,000 people by hand. So we're not working at the level of manual labor. We're working at the informational level. It's so much easier.
Very cool. Now, one last thing before we kind of talk about closing, because I got about like 5 minutes left. Uh, what about like addiction, drug addiction, alcohol, porn, anything like that? Can that also help that as well?
Many people have told us this has helped them with drug addiction or alcohol addiction or even spiritual problems such as pornography or anger. And that always, I think, goes back to this first principle. Energy is the first principle. Our chakras are made out of energy, scalar energy. And if with a scalar energy instrument, we can correct the imbalance of our chakras, correct the imbalance of our thinking, then that will correct our behavior. So that stands to reason. How do you go about addiction? How do you go about mental illness? Not at the chemical level, at the level of information.
Okay. Now, one of the most important things here, and one of the reasons why we brought you on the show is that way other people can benefit from this. So you're giving away some a program for 15 days. Tell everybody how they can do that and what they're gonna receive or experience in that time.
Yeah, thank you. So as a researcher, I want to prove what I'm doing, or maybe I should say you should prove my work. Anybody in the world can visit our website. You will email us your photograph. We offer 15 days of free session. Simply go to our website, send your photo, send your pets. With your family's permission, send your family photographs. For 15 days, we'll provide free sessions in which we're going to balance your chakras. We're going to identify microbes, toxins, and eliminate those toxins. And then for the balance of the day, for the remaining, if you will, 22 hours a day, we're going to deliver nutrients. We're going to deliver all types of, if you will, vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. Even glutathione will be delivered on a basis, daily basis, 24 hours, 22 hours a day through our nutrient program. So I encourage people, go to the website. You can prove to yourself. It's a free session for 15 days. Scalarlight.com.
Perfect. Well, Tom, thank you for bringing something new to me that I didn't know. I love learning. I love exploring because I do know that there's so many answers. There's so many things out there. Obviously, we will never be able to always maybe grasp in our lifetime, but seeing stuff like this, it gives me that hope. And I'm really excited about your work. You've proven a lot of stuff right here with me today. So thank you for coming on, taking this time, and I really hope
Thank
that
you.
people will take you up on your offer.
Emma, thanks for the audience and thanks for your interest. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And guys, we are going to be closing out the show now. So I thank you all for coming and listening to me, listening to Tom. I really hope that you were able to see something new and maybe open your mind to try something new out there. And that's what I love to do with this show. Now, I will be back again next week on Saturday on AM/FM 247. You can also go to my website. It's emmalynndowd.com, and you'll be able to see all of the archives of any of our shows that we have here. All of the video parts are obviously going to be on our YouTube channel that we would love for you to go check that out as well. And of course, we want you all to be safe, happy, and everything else. So do what you need to do to make yourself happy. Think positively, keep going forward. And you're going to run into some obstacles out there. We all do. But at the same time, it's how you handle them that will change your life. And with that, I would love to see you guys again next week. We will be back with more guests and more stories of overcoming odds. So please join us again next week, and I will see you then. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.